It's been 18 years since Acura first introduced the TL name to the States back in 1996. It replaced the slow-selling and slightly odd Acura Vigor in the lineup. So in that time period where it roughly takes your kid to graduate high school and go off to college, what has Acura done to this car in those last 18 years? Well, the vehicle has spawned through 4 generations. Some of them have been great, some of them have been not so great. What you're looking at is the last model year of the TL. This is the 4th generation 2014 TL. Now the car still comes in 2 different trims. There's the base front drive model and then the super handling all-wheel drive model. From there you can choose 3 packages: the base package, the technology package, and the advanced package. Now this particular one that I'm showing you does have the technology package. Most of the TLs that you find will probably have the tech package, which rolls in the nav, the keyless access, the backup camera, stuff like that. Now this car has gone through several ups and downs. There was a time frame back in the 90s where the TL was really just a fancy Honda Accord. Acura really rectified that in 2004 when the 3rd generation TL came out, and that's the model that really pushed the TL to top tier status. It became the 2nd best selling luxury sedan on the market with over 70,000 of these units sold back then. So you gotta think to yourself, who was the designer that redesigned the TL for 2009 and gave us the 4th generation? Because when this car came out, it really cut the TL sales in half. Acura went from selling 70,000 to about 35,000. Now, that's not to say this car is a bad car. It's still actually a really great car. And when Acura updated this car in 2012 with the tweak styling, the less bulbous back end, the less toothy grille, it did help a little bit, but this car still is really, really big and not quite as sleek as the old model. Now, Acura has already showed us the replacement vehicle for this car. The TLX should be hitting showrooms in the 2nd quarter of this year, but until then, you can actually pick these up for a really good deal. So let's take a look and see what makes the TL so great, or what makes it still such a decent sports sedan, even though this one is the oldest mid-size sports sedan you can choose on the market. So the interior of the TL hasn't changed since the 09 model came out. Even with the refresh for 2012, Acura didn't really change the interior design, which it didn't really need to. It's still quite a nice, classy, high-tech looking cabin, even in today's market with all the new competitors hitting the field. Now stepping inside the vehicle, this is still basically Acura's signature design. Now Acura has gone to a newer tech interface versus this older model, but you can see if you got a TL with the technology package or the special edition model, which was new for 2013, you'll get push to start. So basically put your foot on the brake and push the red button to start the engine. And I still really like those gauges. You know, I've shown you guys a 2013 TL with the all-wheel drive system, but I haven't actually shown you guys a front drive model with the new 6-speed automatic. Now, the 6-speed automatic came in 2012 to replace the old 5-speed automatic, but you can see here, everything else about the interior hasn't changed. And it could use some change. I mean, you have this very cluttered center stack with all these buttons here, and I gotta say, I was driving the car over here and I did get distracted by buttons. I was literally looking for the audio button, which is right here underneath the volume button, because I like to keep the screen on the audio portion when I'm driving. Now, the rest of this interior, it's a high-tech premium environment. You have soft touch dashboard materials. This whole top panel here is soft touch. You have this very large LCD 8-inch display here, which it looks pretty nice. It's very bright. It is getting small, I guess, by luxury car standards. You have this faux carbon fiber plastic look, which actually it feels okay. It looks good. You don't expect to find wood grain trim in a TL. Go to an RLX if you want to find the wood grain. The door panels are also soft touch materials with the same faux carbon fiber. You have leather stitching right here where your elbows are going to rest. The driver and front passenger window are automatic up-down. All the other competitors have basically automatic up-down for all 4. You have a nice metal door handle here. The steering wheel is also very nice to look at. It basically has the bolstering extensions. If you guys go for a super handling all-wheel drive model, the steering wheel does have a little bit of a fatter rim because that model is supposed to be a little bit sportier. Now, the navigation system, when you go to the map display, you know, Acura Honda has taken some heat for them. It's getting pretty old. I mean, a lot of manufacturers like Audi, BMW, Mercedes, they've gone to a really much more elaborate screen. I mean, Audi offers the freaking Google Map interface with a wireless hotspot in the vehicle. So Acura does have their work cut out. Even the newer system in the RLX, the MDX, the nav screen hasn't really changed its map quality. Let's see if Acura does update the TLX, which they're promising updated technology completely throughout. Now, another thing that Acura Acura gives you is the ELS audio system. This is a 10-speaker, 410-watt sound system. It's one of the best in the business. It does give you really clear notes. I actually really like it. Some people may not. Honestly, I think it still sounds really great. Of course, you have your climate controls here on the side, your audio down here, and then of course this knob basically controls everything from your phone, the interface here. This is not a touchscreen, of course. Don't expect to reach a touchscreen. Now, the 6-speed automatic transmission is controlled from this little lever here, obviously. There is a sport mode here. You guys can use the paddle shifters if you want to. When you put the vehicle in reverse, it gives you a nice backup camera, but no trajectory, just distance markers. But it's a very nice, clear screen. If you guys go for the advanced package, it will add heated and cooled seats. Only the regular TLs will just have the heated seats. I really like this cover for the cup holders. It's a very sturdy, strong lid. You have your power outlet right there. You have a nice center console here with your USB jack and then a power outlet. Looking at the glove compartment here, it's actually a pretty good size 2-tier storage. I mean, even though the TL's cabin is pretty dated, it's got lots of buttons here, I still think it looks pretty impressive. Some people actually prefer this look over the 2-tier screen that Acura is going to with their newer models. Acura hasn't showed us the production TLX's interior yet, but I can't imagine it'll look too different from other Acuras in the family. All right, so checking out the back seat, one of the issues with the older TLs was its cramped back seat. When Acura gave us the 4th generation model, they really fixed that, and Acura is promising the next generation TLX will basically retain this back seat, which has a nice hump there for their all-wheel drive system, I guess the tunnel. But you can see here, you have decent legroom. It's much better than the TSX. The TSX is very cramped. You have dual map pockets. The materials are basically still the same soft touch here with leather stitching. The headrests here are really nice. They actually fold down in case you don't want it to block your view, which judging by the styling, it can block your view a pretty good amount. There's a nice armrest here with a cup holder, and then a very nice padded area. The seats themselves, they do not fold down, but you do get a nice pass through in the center seat. Now, the trunk capacity on the TL has actually always been on the smaller side. The front drive models give you about 13 cubic feet of space. Go for an all-wheel drive model, and then the all-wheel drive system does take up space. It drops you about 12.5. It's got a very high liftover, and the opening is kind of small, so I'm hoping Acura will make the trunk larger on the TLX. Looking under the hood, Acura still knows how to build one great sounding, smooth spinning V6. This is the company's 3.5 liter V6. If you guys go for the all-wheel drive model, which I've shown you, it has a larger 3.7 liter, but in the TL it actually doesn't have direct injection. It's still single overhead cams. This is basically a variation of the engine you get in the Accord. In the TL it makes 280 horsepower and 254 pound-feet of torque. 305 horsepower if you guys go for the all-wheel drive model with the larger engine. Now, it's paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission. On the front drive models, that's your only choice. If you go for the all-wheel drive, you can get a 6-speed manual. Fuel economy is decent. It's 20 in the city, 29 on the highway. Of course, this runs on premium gas. That's the reason why it makes a little bit more power. It has a higher compression ratio. Now, the TLX is said to have a 3.5-liter direct injection V6. Acura hasn't disclosed any power figures yet, but expect it to at least be making 290 horsepower when that comes out. Let's take a look at how this combination drives. So I've had the opportunity to drive the 4th generation TL a pretty good amount of times. I've driven the super handling all-wheel drive model several times. I showed you guys that before. But the last front drive TL I drove was a 2010 model, and that had the old 5-speed automatic. So with the 6-speed automatic and about a 300-pound weight reduction, how does the front drive model drive? Well, let's take a look. Now, Acura's 3.5 liter V6 is just as smooth and sweet sounding as I can remember, and the TL actually moves out pretty well. I mean, this isn't going to really blow your mind away, but you know, for most buyers, it's going to feel plenty quick. So with 280 horsepower on tap, the TL is a little bit down on power compared to some of its competition. Those are pushing out 300 ponies, but with front wheel drive, you do feel a little bit of torque steer. When you get hard on the gas, the front wheels will lose grip relatively quickly, and you know, it's got enough power to overwhelm them quite easily, but the TL is still surprisingly fun to drive. I mean, expect a 0 to 60 time of maybe around 6.2 seconds, maybe around 6 seconds. The all-wheel drive model is a little bit quicker, but not by much, honestly. The 6-speed automatic, I have to say, is a huge improvement over the 5-speed. It shifts really quickly, it's very smooth, and it really just puts the engine right in the meat of its power band when you need it to. The sport setting works really well. If you want, you could use the paddle shifters right here, and it rev matches on your downshifts quite well, and man, when you put your foot down, that V6 really pulls surprisingly well. This feels a little bit quicker than the all-wheel drive model, to be honest. The all-wheel drive model feels a little bit more planted in the corners, but this feels like it's a little bit quicker. It's got a little bit less weight to pull around, and the 3.5 liter V6 feels just as quick. Now, the TL, one of the criticisms with this one compared to the previous model is this one got too big. It lost that sporty edge that the old third gen had. And honestly, I still feel it. The steering is basically one of the issues. It's very light, it's electric power steering. It doesn't give you the feel and feedback of the old hydraulic power steering unit. Again, once you're, driving the car like a luxury sedan, the TL is actually quite nice. The ride is surprisingly supple, even though this is a sportier, sport luxury sedan. It has a really nice balance. If you guys have driven the TSX multiple times but haven't had a chance to really get behind the wheel of the TL, the TL feels a little bit more upmarket. It has a softer ride, a little bit quieter interior. Now, there is a little bit of road noise in here. It's an old Honda Acura issue, but this is still really nice. It doesn't feel very old from behind the wheel. I mean, really the only thing that feels old is the tech interfaces here, the fact that you've got no driver assistance tech. You can get blind spot monitoring on the advanced package, but don't expect to find forward collision warning, lane departure warning, adaptive cruise control. You can get that on an Accord, but you can't get that on this TL, which is weird, but this is an older design, so that's really why that is. In terms of the visibility in here, Honda is usually pretty good, Acura is usually pretty good at that. The TL, it's a little bit not in the norm for Honda Acura. The front view is okay. The car is very wide, and that's the one thing about the TL is it's an incredibly wide vehicle. It gives you a big feeling of space, but the vehicle also feels really big going down the road. You've got this hood that's kind of very imposing from the front. Pretty small side mirrors, actually, if you ask me. And then the view out of the back is probably my issue. That sloping roof really just cuts into visibility. So I would recommend TL with the advanced package. It at least gives you the blind spot monitoring. So with Acura about to discontinue this model, is there a reason why you should purchase the 2014 TL? Should you still go to your Acura dealership and buy one, especially when you can buy a lot of newer competitors? Well, I can definitely give you a really resounding yes on that answer. It's still a really great sports sedan, and my particular recommendation for the TL would be, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more proven and you're looking for a deal, these things are really a great bargain on the, on the new car market. Acura really has put a lot of incentives and rebates on the TL just to, to make room for the TLX. That's kind of how it is. If you're looking to get a good deal, you should always go for the vehicle that's about to be replaced. Even though you're going to get a little bit of an older vehicle in terms of tech, the design, that doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. It just makes it so that if you guys are looking for a deal, this is basically the vehicle to do it. Now, with all that said, my expectations for the TLX are quite high. This is still a great sedan, and honestly, I can see why Acura got rid of the TL and the TSX, because if you wanted to buy this car, you could essentially buy the same thing as a TSX with a V6, although the TSX doesn't have the push to start, and it has a 5-speed auto as opposed to the 6-speed automatic in the TL. But in this combination, you're looking at about $41,000 for this combination, and it's actually a pretty good bargain. It's about the size of a BMW 5 Series, but about $20,000 less. I just showed you guys that 535i, and this car is about as wide and is about as long as that car, but it's about 20 grand less than the sticker, which that one was about 61,000. So in typical Acura fashion, it offers really good value. It offers a spacious cabin, it offers decent tech, and if you're an Honda Acura fan, this vehicle will pretty much please you. But for those of you who are enthusiasts, pick up the 6-speed manual model with the all-wheel drive, because Acura for now does not have a manual version of the TLX. Anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed my overview of this 2014 Acura TL with the technology package. If you're in the market for a mid-size sport luxury sedan, you can pretty much check this out and make sure you grab one before they're gone. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all later.